On a night meant for charity and fake smiles, Barack Obama didn't come to shake hands with Donald Trump. He came to destroy him. In front of the entire world, at the most glamorous gala of the year, Obama walked straight up to Trump, looked him dead in the eyes, and dropped the ultimate bombshell. The boy everyone called Baron Trump wasn't his son at all. He was Ivanka's secret child, hidden for nearly 20 years in one of the biggest lies in political history. The charity gala that night was supposed to be just another fancy night of handshakes and big donations, but the tension in the grand ballroom was already thick before anyone said a word. At the center table, right under the brightest lights, Donald Trump sat with his family like he owned the whole damn place. Melania kept her back straight and her eyes straight ahead. Ivanka smiled that perfect polished smile she always wore in public, while Barron sat quiet and tall beside his dad, watching the crowd without saying much. Barack Obama walked straight to the podium without the usual stack of notes or any small talk. He didn't thank the organizers or crack a single joke about politics or charity. He just set his thin tablet down, gripped the sides of the podium, and looked right at the Trump table. "Tonight isn't about raising money," he said, his voice calm but cutting through the room like a knife. "It's about the truth we've all been avoiding for way too long." He tapped the tablet once, and the giant screens around the ballroom lit up with an old yellowed medical ledger dated spring 2006. The crowd froze. This wasn't some blurry photo or leaked email. It was a real hospital record from a private clinic showing names, dates, and a birth that didn't match a single thing the public had been told about Baron Trump. Obama kept his eyes locked on Trump the whole time. "A legacy built on secrets is a heavy load to carry," he said, voice steady, "especially for a young man who deserves to know who he really is." People stopped eating. Forks hovered in mid-air. Then Obama dropped the first real bomb. "These travel records show Ivanka Trump flew to Switzerland in April 2006, he continued, and the screen flipped to clear flight logs, hotel bookings, and clinic entry dates that lined up exactly with the medical ledger. Same city, same week, same private clinic where this record was made. The room exploded into shocked gasps and whispers that turned into a low roar. Heads snapped toward the Trump table. Trump's usual smirk had vanished, his jaw tight as he stared back at Obama. Ivanka's face went ghost white, her hands gripping the edge of the table so hard her knuckles showed. Barron sat completely still, eyes wide, like he was hearing his own life story for the first time in front of the entire world. Then Obama stepped away from the podium and walked straight down the stairs toward the center table. Every eye in the room followed him. The ballroom went dead quiet except for the sound of his shoes on the marble floor. He stopped right in front of Donald Trump, standing so close their faces were less than 2 feet apart. No stage, no distance, no hiding, just two men face to face while the whole world watched on live cameras. Trump looked up, his jaw locked tight, eyes narrowed like he was ready for a fight. Obama leaned in slightly, one hand resting on the edge of the white tablecloth, and spoke in a low, sharp voice that carried across the silent room. "The games are over, Donald. This isn't some internet rumor anymore. A federal grand jury has been working on this for months. They have the original hospital logs from 2006, not copies, the real papers with real signatures and official stamps." He paused just long enough for the words to sink in. "Those documents prove the birth records were forged. They prove someone deliberately hid the true identity of this child. That's not politics. That's a serious federal crime, document forgery and concealment of a child's identity." Trump tried to laugh it off. He leaned back in his chair with that familiar smirk and opened his mouth to speak, but Obama cut him off cold. Without raising his voice, he tapped his tablet again. A new audio file played through the ballroom speakers. Short, clear and unmistakably Ivanka's voice from 2006. "I can't keep doing this. I don't know how to explain it to everyone. He's my son, but we have to protect him." The clip ended. The room erupted in stunned gasps. Ivanka's face turned deathly pale. She looked like she might pass out right there in her seat. Her hands shook as she gripped the table, eyes wide with pure panic. Trump's smirk disappeared instantly, replaced by raw anger. Barron sat frozen, staring at his sister like he had just been punched in the gut. Obama kept his gaze locked on Trump. "There's a medical team waiting right outside this hall with a supervised DNA test. You have one choice tonight, Donald. Right now, under these lights, on live television. Let Barron take the test, or the federal agents at every exit will take you into custody before you even reach the door." The silence that followed was heavy. No one moved. Melania sat like a statue carved from ice. She didn't reach for Trump's arm, didn't whisper a word, didn't even blink. Her eyes stayed fixed on Barron, and in that look you could see years of guilt and shame she had buried deep. It wasn't the face of a mother protecting her family. It was the face of a woman who had been carrying a secret so heavy it was finally crushing her. Ivanka couldn't take it anymore. She shoved her chair back so hard it scraped loudly against the floor and tried to stand up, her legs shaky. She glanced toward the side exits like she could disappear into the crowd. But two security guys in dark suits stepped right into her path, blocking her cold. She froze halfway up, trapped under the bright lights and 1,000 staring eyes. Obama turned his attention straight to her, voice calm but cutting like a blade. "Ivanka," he said, loud enough for every microphone to catch, "right here, right now, in front of everyone. Is Barron your son?" The room went so quiet you could hear the cameras humming. Ivanka's face crumpled. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak. I can't." Her voice cracked, barely above a whisper, but the words hung in the air like smoke. Before she could finish, Melania shot her a look so sharp and cold it stopped Ivanka dead. No words, just that icy stare from mother to daughter, a silent explosion that said everything. Ivanka sank back into her seat, tears already filling her eyes, her perfect composure completely shattered. The two women locked eyes for one long, brutal second, the kind of moment that rips a family apart in public. Then Obama nodded toward the giant screens. A new feed came on live, a woman in her late 50s wearing a simple white coat, sitting in what looked like a quiet office. "My name is Nurse Elena Voss," she said clearly, her Swiss accent steady. "I worked at the private clinic in Switzerland in 2006. I was there the night Ivanka Trump gave birth. I delivered the baby boy myself. The child everyone calls Barron, he is her son." Gasps and shocked murmurs exploded across the ballroom. Phones were already out, people filming the screens. Ivanka buried her face in her hands. Melania's rigid posture finally broke. Her shoulders dropped just a fraction, like the last wall had come down. Trump's face burned red with fury, but even he stayed silent for once, the weight of the nurse's words hitting harder than any speech. Barron had heard enough. He pushed his chair back with a loud scrape that cut through the chaos and rose to his full height. At 19, he already towered over most people in the room. He stepped forward into the narrow space between Obama and his father, placing himself right in the middle of the storm. The cameras swung toward him instantly. For the first time, the world wasn't looking at him as Donald Trump's quiet youngest son. They were looking at a young man who had finally reached his limit. His voice came out deep and steady, cutting through the murmurs. "For years, I've felt like a stranger in my own house," he said, looking straight at the crowd. "I'd catch people staring at me when they thought I wasn't watching. I'd look in the mirror and see features that didn't match the stories I was told. My height, my face, even the way I move, everything lines up more with Ivanka than with anyone else in this family." He turned slowly toward Ivanka, locking eyes with her across the table. The entire ballroom held its breath. "Ivanka," he asked, his voice clear and direct, "are you my real mother?" Ivanka broke. Tears streamed down her face as she tried to speak, but no denial came out. She just sat there sobbing quietly, shoulders shaking, unable to look away from him. The silence after his question was deafening. No one in the room dared to move. Baron didn't stop there. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. "I found this letter 2 years ago, hidden in one of the old family safes at home," he said, holding it up so the nearest cameras could catch the handwriting. "It's from Ivanka in 2006. She wrote about being scared, about giving birth in Switzerland, and about how she had to let everyone believe I was her little brother so the family could keep its image clean." He looked back at Obama, then at his father. "I'm done living in the dark. I'm done with the lies and the whispers. I want the truth, no matter how ugly it is." Baron turned toward the medical team waiting at the edge of the hall and nodded firmly. "I'm ready, right now. Let's do the DNA test tonight and end this once and for all." The room erupted in a wave of shocked whispers and camera flashes. Trump's face twisted with a mix of rage and disbelief as he watched his son take control of the moment. Obama gave Baron a small nod of respect, while Ivanka continued to cry softly, the weight of years of secrets finally crashing down on her in front of millions. Trump's eyes went wild the second Baron agreed to the test. Before the medical team could take another step, he exploded out of his chair. He lunged forward and grabbed Baron's upper arm with a grip like iron, yanking him backward hard enough to make the boy stumble. The whole ballroom gasped at once. This wasn't a father protecting his son anymore. This was pure panic and control. Baron twisted violently, trying to break free. He shoved Trump back with both hands, pushing him a full step away. "Get off me!" Baron shouted, his deep voice booming across the silent hall. "You've stolen my whole life. You turned me into a prop, a lie, and now you want to keep me in the dark forever? I'm not your puppet anymore." The two of them stood nose to nose in the middle of the ballroom, father and son yelling at each other while cameras rolled and guests watched in horror. Trump's face burned bright red. "This is a setup, Baron. They're trying to destroy us," he snarled back, but his voice cracked with desperation. Before anyone could stop them, Trump tightened his grip and started dragging Baron toward the side of the room. He pushed through a heavy velvet curtain into a narrow service hallway behind the ballroom. The bright lights and noise of the gala disappeared instantly, replaced by dim fluorescent bulbs and the smell of old carpet and kitchen grease. In the tight hallway, Trump pinned Baron against the wall for a second, his face inches away. "Listen to me," he hissed, voice low and urgent. "Your real mother is in danger. This whole thing is a trap set by my enemies. If you take that test, they'll use it to tear this family apart and put us all in jail. You keep quiet, and I'll protect you. Protect all of us." Baron's eyes flashed with anger. He shoved hard, breaking Trump's hold. In the struggle, a small photograph slipped from Baron's jacket pocket and fluttered to the floor. A clear image of Ivanka in 2006, exhausted but smiling as she held a newborn baby in a hospital bed. Trump's eyes widened when he saw it. Baron reached down to grab the photo, but Trump kicked it away and slammed his shoulder into his son, driving him toward the exit door at the end of the hall. Trump kicked the heavy metal door open with a loud bang. Cold night air rushed in, carrying the smell of rain and exhaust. A black SUV sat idling in the alley, rear door already open, driver waiting. With one final brutal push, Trump shoved Baron into the back seat. "Get him out of the city now," he barked at the driver. "Somewhere safe. No one finds him." The door slammed shut. The SUV's tires screeched as it tore out of the alley and disappeared into the dark streets of the city. Trump stood alone for a second in the cold, breathing hard, smoothing his hair, and straightening his jacket. Then he turned and walked back through the ballroom doors like nothing had happened, his face set in a grim, defiant smirk. The entire room was in chaos. People standing on chairs, security talking into their sleeves, cameras swinging wildly. Trump walked straight toward Obama near the stage, straightened his red tie with a deliberate flick, and leaned in close. "The boy's gone," he said, loud enough for the microphones to catch every word. "No DNA test, no proof. You just lost your little show, Barack. He's disappeared, and with him every piece of so-called evidence you thought you had." The crowd murmured in shock. Trump looked around with that defiant grin, daring anyone to challenge him. Obama didn't raise his voice. He simply picked up a remote and pointed it at the giant screens. The security footage from the service exit started playing in crystal clear black and white, Trump dragging Barron down the hallway, the violent shove into the SUV, and the car speeding away into the night. Right after that, Obama played a new audio clip, a short recording Barron had secretly made on his phone while trapped in the back of the moving SUV. Trump's voice was clear on the tape. "Keep your mouth shut or your real mother pays the price." Then Barron's own voice cut in, low and angry. "I'm not staying silent anymore. This ends tonight." Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Trump's smirk froze on his face. That was when Ivanka completely broke. She stood up slowly, tears pouring down her cheeks, her whole body shaking. The camera zoomed in tight as she looked straight into the lenses, voice cracking with raw pain. "Yes, Barron is my son," she said, the words spilling out between sobs. "I gave birth to him in Switzerland in 2006. We hid it because we thought it would destroy everything. I'm so sorry. I couldn't keep lying anymore." Her confession hit the room like a bomb. Melania closed her eyes and turned her head away, while Trump stared at his daughter in pure disbelief and fury. Obama stepped forward, calm and steady as ever. He looked directly at Trump and then at the cameras. "Donald, you can run with the boy. You can hide him. But the truth doesn't disappear that easily. We still have the original documents, the nurse's testimony, the travel records, and now Ivanka's own words on live television. Even if Barron is gone tonight, the evidence remains. The hunt for the full truth has only just begun." As Obama finished speaking, his tablet lit up with an incoming message. He held it up so the nearest camera could capture the screen. It was a text from Barron's phone, sent just seconds earlier from the speeding SUV. "I want to know the truth." The simple words hung on the massive screens for everyone to see. The ballroom exploded with noise, shouts, flashes, and a wave of emotion that swept through the crowd. Trump stood frozen, his empire of secrets cracking wide open in real time. Ivanka kept crying softly, Melania remained silent and broken, and Obama looked out at the room with quiet resolve. The gala was supposed to be a night of celebration. Instead, it became the moment the Trump family's biggest lie finally shattered, and the search for the truth had only just started. The gala lights were still shining, but everything had changed forever. The perfect image of the Trump family lay shattered on the ballroom floor. Secrets that had been buried for nearly 20 years were now exposed in front of the whole world. Barron was somewhere out there in the night, chasing the truth. Ivanka had finally broken her silence. And Donald Trump. Well, the fight was far from over. What happens next? Will Barron discover who he really is? Will the full truth come out? Or will the most powerful family in politics manage to bury it once again? Only one thing is certain. This story is just getting started. If you want to find out what happens in the next chapter, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Drop a like if you felt the tension in that ballroom and comment below. Do you think Barron will ever get the DNA test? We'll see you in the next video. The truth always finds its way out.